So what about hard manual labor and the 80-10-10 diet? Well, last year I worked in landscaping from early spring right up till about close to Christmas time. And now when I'm talking landscaping, I'm talking about landscape construction versus landscape maintenance. I wasn't cutting lawns or pruning rose bushes. I was involved in the building of landscapes for large estates. And it's heavy, hard, long work, 11-hour days, and working in sometimes extreme temperatures. So the first day I go to work, I bring in a cooler bag just packed with different kinds of fruits, the main fruits being bananas and dates, but I had papaya in there as well. I had some grapes and some apples, some celery. And so come break time, I open this thing up and the other workers are just like, what are you, a monkey or something? You know, like, you're crazy. And the attitude is more or less like, in that kind of work environment, is like, you got to have, you know, if you want to make it through the day, you need to eat a lot of heavier foods like meat and dairy and eggs and that kind of stuff. And with some fruit, you know, complemented with an apple or an orange or something, but fruit definitely not being the main course. And so, you know, I had to put up with a little bit of ridicule at first. But how did I do on eating just fruits, eating an 80-10-10 diet? Well, usually the first couple days are the days, if you're not used to that kind of work, those are the days that will really whack you out. And you'll be sore for like the next week. My recovery was fine. The next day I had a little bit of muscle fatigue, but nothing major. And I thought, you know, what's going on here? I was expecting actually to feel muscle fatigue because the first couple of days at work were brutal. I mean, we were, there was areas that we couldn't get in with an excavator, and we had to dig by hand, and we had to wheelbarrow at long distances, and then we had to wheelbarrow by hand barrels of concrete for a concrete pour. And if you've ever wheelbarrowed concrete, it's the heaviest. And that was also going up a ramp as well. So it was really hard work. And still, I didn't have the muscle fatigue that I thought I was going to experience. My recovery was excellent. And in terms of endurance, I mean, I wasn't like, you know, Speedy Gonzalez, you know, shooting here and going there and working super fast. I just worked at a steady pace, did my job well, but I was constant. My energy level was constant. I could make it through the day, no problem. So I had no issue whatsoever with eating just fruit during the daytime, or maybe having a couple of sticks of celery with my fruit, and getting through the day just fine. And the interesting thing about this is that as time went on, you know, on more than one occasion, one of the workers would come up to me and say, later on in the afternoon, and, you know, ask me for a spare banana, because I always brought more than what I needed to eat. And that's the important thing too. You know, if you're in a job where it's hard labor, then make sure you eat enough. There's no magic to this. Eat a lot, and that will get you through the day. You'll have the fuel to get you through. So a lot of these, you know, the guys at work who are eating the conventional stuff, on many occasions would be coming up to me and, you know, privately say, hey, you know, you got a spare banana, like, because they were out of fuel by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. They were out of fuel. They may not have brought enough food with them. And so they hit me up for a banana. And so after a while, I started to feel like I was a food bank for these guys. But I didn't mind. It's my pleasure. I love to share my fruits. Now, extreme temperatures. Okay, I worked in all kinds of temperatures, from early spring when it was cold and damp. And you know, what's the secret there? Like, because I've heard complaints, well, when it's cold, it's hard to follow the 80-11 diet. And the reality is, yes, if you've lost a lot of body fat, you're going to feel the cold. You don't have that blanket of fat to insulate your body anymore. But it's nothing to do with what you're eating. Again, eat enough food, and if you're working outside, well, you know what to do. You dress properly, and then you'll stay warm. There's great clothing out there to keep you warm under extreme temperatures. And so I had no more of an issue of keeping warm than the other guys did. And now, what about extreme heat? That was interesting because that's where I thrived. I was able to adapt to the heat a lot better than my fellow workers. And I'll give you an example. There was one day when, temperatures were getting close to like 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And I was working with a group of students because the company I works for hires students every year. And by the afternoon, some of these students just couldn't make it anymore. They had to just stop working. They were feeling sick. And some of them I even recommend, just go home, right? Like, you're not well. Now, what did they eat for lunch? They had, it's terrible what some of these young people eat. Like, they'll bring in those fish crackers or a bag of potato chips with maybe, I don't know, a sandwich or something, but they eat a lot of junk food. And I said, why are you eating this crap? It's going to kill you. And they said, well, it's just what we find. Like, they live at home. They live at home with their parents, and they just say, we grab whatever in the cupboard. They're not going to go through the trouble of making a decent lunch for themselves. And that's what's there, and so that's what they take to work with them. But it's not good. So here I am, a man over half a century old, and I'm able to work in these extremely hot temperatures, and these young guys are just dying by the wayside. So the 80-10-10 diet, and I guess it's no surprise. I mean, athletes thrive on this diet, and so would you if your job involves manual labor of any sort. This is the perfect diet for you. Again, just make sure you bring enough. My policy is bring more than enough. You can always take it back home with you, but bring more than enough food with you, and you'll get through the day no problem at all. So there it is. Have a great day, and God bless.